close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport Podcast. My name is Jack McCarran of the Southern Star and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. On today's podcast we're going to be chatting to Cork and Clonakilty goalkeeper Martina O'Brien. With the return of football imminent, the Ballinascarthy native gives us her thoughts on the county setup, her club ambitions for the year and the art of goalkeeping. But Kieran, before we hear from Martina, you might just give us an update on the return to play amongst clubs in the region. Challenge matches are back on. I'm playing my first one tonight. Training is up and running. You obviously spoke to Tracy Kennedy on last week's podcast about whether or not supporters will be allowed to attend games. So let's start there. Any update on whether or not supporters will be permitted to go into grounds and watch games as they return?
We've no update yet on, in terms of numbers, what the attendance numbers will be regards, I suppose, the championship games when they throw in at the end of the month. Like Tracy Kennedy said last week, I think the hope is, and it's a hope, that the situation will improve so more fans can get in. Obviously, we know there will be a number of fans. I think it's 500 by the end of the month. But that includes players, match officials and all that. So how those kind of, the remaining places, maybe 400, will be allotted between the clubs, nobody knows at the moment, so we just have to wait and see. But like you said, there's challenge games going on right around the division at the moment and right around the country, which is great to see. Dennis Hurley was at the Kilbrittain Argentine Rangers hurling challenge game in Kilbrittain on Saturday night, and he's a lovely piece in this week's Southern Star just about it. Even, I suppose, for Dennis, and his column also is on, I suppose, the GAA coming back. He went 119 days without covering a game, and for someone like Dennis Hurley, who lives for match reports and lives for games, and you'd find him at 5 or 6 games on a weekend, it was a famine for him. So I think he was delighted to be on the sideline in Kilbrittain on Saturday night, and even though he got a bit wet, he wasn't complaining. He was making a note of, I suppose, the differences of this new normal at the moment. Kind of like players had to tug out at home, they did their stretching on their own, and so on. They brought their own water bottles, the hand sanitising. So there is obviously new rules and new changes that are there at the moment, but they're there for a reason. But like Dennis said, once the action started, there was no quarter given like you would expect. So it's just great to have it back, Jack. And it's full steam ahead now for the championships that are kind of, they're throwing in and kicking off in the next couple of weeks. And what's happened over the last few days as well is that we're getting the fixture details, and it's kind of hot off the press from today, and it's going to go through quickly that the county championship fixtures and dates have been released just on this Wednesday afternoon, and there'll be a lot of interest and we've talked about it, at West Cork group of dates that has Castlehaven, Rosscarbery, Island Rovers and Newcestown. And just to let our listeners and viewers know that the Carbery Rangers Castlehaven senior football game will take place in Clonakilty on Sunday, July 26th at 2:30 p.m. The day before that, the Newcestown and Island Rovers game takes place in Dunmanway at 7 p.m. And that weekend, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, July 24th to 26th, it's the first weekend of the County Football Championships, and it's quite busy. O'Donovan Rossa and St. Nick's in the Senior A Football Championship is the Saturday in Brinny at 3:30 p.m. Just giving a quick look down the list now for a couple of other local games. We have Castletown Bear are playing Ahada in Kilmurray on the Saturday. Gabriel Rangers are taking on Nemo Rangers on the Sunday in Kilmichael. We'll have all those details up on the Southern Star website, so they're well worth checking out right now to see those opening weekend fixtures in the county championships. But like I said, Jack, it's full steam ahead.
Yeah, and the only thing I heard there was that Island Rovers' opening game of the championship is going to land on Saturday the 25th, which means all the Island Rovers soccer players will be available for our Championship Cup semi-final clash on the Sunday. So that's great news for me. Kieran, you mentioned just there before you went through the fixtures about players having to warm up by themselves and other such changes that have been introduced. You spoke to Sinead O'Regan, a physiotherapist, last week in the Southern Star, and she went through a list of top tips that players can introduce to their own regimen to ensure that they don't get injured as the return to play heats up. So are there any of the top tips you'd like to share with us now? Anything that players, including myself, who's going to be trying to warm himself up tonight to take on Clonakilty in a junior hurling challenge, anything that can help me improve my game, because God knows I'm going to need it?
I think Sinead O'Regan, she's opened her own business, Optimum Recovery Limited, in Ahamilla in Clonakilty. She made a lot of great points when we chatted to her. She kind of shared her top tips for club players to avoid injuries, because like you know yourself, Jack, what players are coming off this period of inactivity for a couple of months where they were training at home and they were doing online Zoom classes and so on to keep themselves ticking over. And all of a sudden they're going from a low base to a very high intensity where championship matches are being thrust upon them after only a couple of weeks of training. So there is an expectation that we will see a spike in injuries and muscle injuries, kind of groin, calf, hamstrings and so on. So what Sinead did, she shared her top tips, and I'll just go through some of them here. And her first one was listen to your body, and it kind of sounds very straightforward, but Sinead made the point that not a lot of players do, that players ignore the warning signs. So if you're feeling sore before training, that's your body telling you that it's not 100% and that it is fatigued. So maybe just wind it in a small bit and wind down. That don't go 100% in that training session. And Sinead makes the point, you need to listen to these warning signs. So listen to your body. Sleep is a very underrated recovery technique. Whatever walk of life, whether it's you're a GAA player or a soccer player, whether it's you just work a lot, I suppose we can all admit, Jack, that we don't probably sleep as much as we probably should. But when you sleep, it just allows your body time to recover. So that's very important in the weeks ahead. And I know you like that one because you're a fellow who likes your sleep, Jack. So now you have a good reason to sleep until 10 o'clock most mornings. Going down through some of the other kind of, it sounds obvious, stay hydrated. Kind of have your 2 litres of water every day, especially when you're training. You're sweating that much more. So you need to kind of replace that. So get water into your nutrition. Again, very, very important. You need the adequate carbohydrates for your energy. You need the adequate protein to help your body repair. Rest and relax too. Again, they sound very, very obvious, Jack, but sometimes the obvious things in front of you actually don't pay heed to it. So Sinead said, time is one of the best ways to recover or heal from an injury. And it also works after a hard workout. Your body has an amazing capacity to take care of itself if you allow it some time.
And Kieran, also, just to point out as well to our listeners that full list of tips from Sinead are available on thesouthernstarTV right now, and she goes into detail as to what each of the headings mean and how they can improve your own physical well-being as we return to play. Kieran, another point I wanted to touch on before we move on to Martina, and that's the situation with referees. I know you covered this last week as well. So what's the latest? Clubs are expected to provide support for the referees in terms of umpires, etc. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think kind of referees have almost been forgotten, Jack, in all of this at the moment. Like we've all our championship fixtures kind of planned ahead for the next couple of weeks and months, and there was an incredibly busy schedule there. But think about the referees for a moment. They're going to have to cover football, hurling, ladies football, camogie, underage games. So they're going to be stretched very thin over the next couple of months. And I suppose if we go back over the years, even in Carbery here, I'm thinking back in February, where the Carbery board found it quite hard to get 5 referees to referee 5 under-21 games on the one weekend. Now you're looking at weekends where it's just jam-packed from Friday through to Sundays with an incredible amount of county championship and divisional championship games. So the referees will be stretched thin, and referees will need help and assistance off the host club of games because they might not be able to get their team of umpires for every game. So there'll be a kind of onus on those host clubs to help out. And what's happened in Carbery over the last couple of years, Jack, is that there are still some clubs out there who don't provide referees to the Carbery board to referee games. And that's probably not good enough. There's no probably that isn't good enough. Without the referees, there's no games. Whatever sport it is, we need referees. And referees would need help in the next couple of months to kind of officiate the games, because if they're not there, the games aren't going to go ahead. So clubs need to help the referees and provide umpires, and they need to provide linesmen if the referees can't get their usual teams to games. Because we had a piece with Ed Sheehy from Newcestown, who's a referee in last week's Southern Star, and he made the point that usually the team of umpires and match officials can travel in 2 cars, but now they have to travel in 3 cars. So there's all these kind of logistical things too. So it's just for clubs to kind of keep in mind that if a referee is in trouble, if they need umpires and match officials, please help them out.
Well, look, isn't it absolutely brilliant that we're talking about these things? The GAA is coming back, soccer is coming back, everything is coming back. I can't wait to get involved. We can't wait to cover all the matches in the Southern Star on southernstar.ie and the Star Sport podcast. But we're going to take a quick break now, and coming up after that break, we're going to be chatting to Cork goalkeeper Martina O'Brien.
Thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Cork and Clonakilty goalkeeper Martina O'Brien has enjoyed plenty of good days in recent years, including captaining the Cork ladies to Division 1 success last season. The Ballinascarthy woman is primed and ready for the imminent return to action, and she caught up with Kieran a little earlier on. Kieran, before we play the interview, how is Martina keeping?
Martina's in good form. She's looking forward to a very busy season. Like I mentioned in the earlier part of the show, it's going from a famine to a feast, and Martina's going to be busier than most, Jack. She's the senior football divisional team. She's the Clonakilty intermediate football team. She's the Ballinascarthy junior camogie team, and she also has the Cork senior ladies football team. So she's a busy schedule coming up over the next couple of weeks and months. But I could hear from her now, she's really looking forward to getting back on the pitch. I suppose to start off with, here we are a couple of weeks out from the start of the championships. If we rewind a couple of months ago, we didn't think we'd be in this situation. So what's it like for you now, a few weeks out from throw-in?
I suppose it was very unusual. I suppose back when it all kind of started in lockdown, and we were kind of really kind of gearing ourselves up for having nothing. I suppose, as weeks went on, we were kind of thinking, geez, there's going to be no football, no camogie, no nothing kind of going on, no GAA, no sport even for the rest of the year. But I suppose it's moved pretty fast in the last couple of weeks again to actually having a season, which, look, I suppose it's great. It's fantastic to look forward to something, and I think you only realise when you're not doing it and you don't have it how much you actually love it. So it's great. It's great to be back training anyway. I think, look, I know we're kind of only going week to week now to see, and we hope to have games. But it's great just to be back training, seeing people, having the chats, having a laugh. And it's that social interaction, I think, that you miss the most. I know, like, definitely going back to club there now, the last 2 weeks, I've been really enjoying it. Like, really, like, probably haven't enjoyed it as much since I was young, because we kind of going here, there, and everywhere. But we kind of had time to really just go to training, chill out, have a laugh, and actually enjoy training, which probably hasn't happened in a long, long time.
Like, you actually make a great point there about your training with the club at the moment, and obviously the inter-county season is further down the line, and we'll talk about that in a while. But it's just interesting to get your thoughts, Martina, on kind of this defined club window at the moment, and obviously defined inter-county window later in the year. For you, obviously on the Cork team for I don't know how many years at this stage, you're there 7, 8, 9 years easily. So for you to have this time kind of dedicated to the club, I presume you don't usually get that. And what's that like then, to be back with the players you've grown up with?
Yeah, so like, I suppose in the last, I've probably been playing Cork with nearly 10 years now, probably a little less, but I suppose haven't had a lot of club time to be with the club. Now that's probably with work and other commitments that I would have as regards, I suppose, growing up and having a job and trying to have a career as well. But I wouldn't have probably been making a lot of club stuff in the last couple of years, and being pulled from going to camogie and club football and then we West Cork football. So a lot of your time is kind of just trying to get to one session every now and then. So definitely this time it's been fantastic, because you see the girls every so often, and you know, you catch up and whatever, but really, like the last couple of weeks, you're back to when I was a teenager and playing football with the girls that I grew up with now, saying that there's not a whole lot of girls left that I played with when I was younger. They're all very young now, but it's great. It's great to just get that time where you're not worried about, like I probably can't do the full session out tonight because I might have a match tomorrow or whatever. You know, you're kind of you're doing everything, and really, like, I actually really, really enjoy it. And it's having that time, I suppose, to get to know the girls again, and be a team. You know, I suppose that's what we get when everyone's around. So yeah, no, really, really enjoying it now.
We're going from a famine into a feast of games, and you're going to be busier than most in the next couple of weeks. You've the West Cork senior football team, the Clonakilty intermediate football team, and the Bell junior camogie team. Let's look at West Cork first for a second. With a piece of Brian McCarthy in last week's Southern Star, and he was going to say how difficult it will be for West Cork this year, being a divisional team and seeing that clubs will obviously have first dibs on players, and clubs of all the county championships kind of going on the same time as the senior county championship is. What are your thoughts in the season ahead for West Cork? Do you think it'll be a hard one for you?
Yeah, I think, like, even when, you know, they announced that we were going back and playing and stuff, and I didn't actually know what position West Cork would be in, because, like, we have so many junior clubs, I suppose, and a few intermediate clubs in. Like, they're trying to run off all the games, and I was like, are they going to logistically be able to do it? But I think, in fairness to the county board and everyone, they're trying to work around and try to give everybody their game time, and they're fitting West Cork in, which is great, because I think it's really important that it goes ahead. Really, for the promotion of ladies football in West Cork, it's just getting bigger and bigger and better and better. And I think it's really important that team runs year on year. Look, whether we have a team that's competing or a team that's just thereabouts, like, it's just to have a team there, to see these young girls who are coming up and playing club football and go, oh, I'm playing with a junior club, I'll never get a chance to play senior football maybe, but then they see the West Cork team, and, like, competing at the highest grade at senior level in Cork is it's a great achievement, I suppose. So, like, it's giving players that chance. So I think it's great that we get the chance to do it this year. And look, I know we'll probably run in maybe to a few problems with maybe clashes, or probably girls playing 2 club matches and then maybe having to play a West Cork match as well in the week, just with the way it might come. But I think everybody's willing to do that this year because of the circumstances. I know if I happen to have 3 games in 4 days, or 3 games in a row, I won't complain too much, because I know, look, it's no one's fault really, because it's very hard to fit everything, and you can't make everybody happy. So look, I suppose we'll face that when it comes to it, and I think at the moment we're not looking at anything like that. So hopefully we can get everyone out and get everyone to be playing and have everyone available, I suppose.
And what a game to kick it all off in the senior championship. The small matter of Mourne-Abbey, I think July 28th, kind of, you've become kind of familiar foes over the last couple of years. It's a brilliant game, Martina, to start the senior football championship with.
I think the county board were like, we'll ease into the senior football championship this year. I know, look, what you say, like, Mourne-Abbey are defending All-Ireland champions. They beat us twice in a row in county champion. Like, look, I suppose we're kind of going into it as a stepping stone, maybe, because, look, we're not going to be able to get together a whole lot. So what the lads are trying to do, and Brian and Anne and James are kind of trying to get us matches more than maybe training together, because it's just hard to get girls' nights, because nothing's going to suit everybody. So it'll probably be a tough one for us, because we're not going to have played a whole lot together. But look, it's a good game. Like, the standard's going to be like unreal. So, like, we'll take it as it comes again. Use it. Hopefully, like, obviously we'd love to be winning the game, and that's the mentality we're going to go in with. But we're going to have to be realistic about it as well. It's going to be our first game for many. There's some new people on the panel again this year, so, like, it's kind of finding your right 15 and your right panel, and kind of just getting that right as the games go on. And hopefully, if we can kind of get something together and really do our best against Mourne, that maybe our next game will maybe come together better for us. But look, it's going to be the first game. They are not going to have maybe too many games, but they're a club team. You know, we know what they're all about. So like, it's going to be tough, obviously. But look, we'll just take it as it comes again.
And then with the Clonakilty intermediate team, there's so many West Cork teams also at the intermediate grade, and you've dodged every one of those bullets. You're in a different group. I think you're with
Arglen, Desmond's, Bui, and Glanmire, I think, are our two. So yeah, we have now. We weren't so lucky last year because Ross beat us actually in the semi-final, and I think we actually had Bantry in our in the group game as well. But we have so far, but like again, we've got a pretty tough draw in those two teams. Glanmire were in the county final last year, and they were very, very impressive through the year. And they're only actually getting stronger and stronger. Sure, like their underage is awesome. They're winning nearly all of their like A grades in under 16 and minor, and they're doing really well. So I suppose they're the team maybe that have impressed over the last couple of years in the intermediate grade. And we're going to have a tough there. And last year actually we had a good battle with Arglen. I think it ended we beat them by a point, and we had to beat them by so many. I don't know, we had to win anyway by something, and we managed to do it. So that'll be a good battle with them again. And they're always so tough, like they're big, strong, physical girls. And we have two good matches, I suppose, in our group. Again, like we did really well last year, and we're looking to build on what we did. We have some younger girls in again, and in fairness, with what the club has been trying to do the last couple of years is trying to build with our underage to bring that into the intermediate team, because I suppose we haven't been very successful over the last couple of years, but our underage is really good, and they're kind of just getting those girls in and giving a bit of experience now. And I suppose it'll just tell maybe at the end of this year where we are with that.
When you mentioned earlier just about how important the West Cork divisional team is, because it gives players all over the division kind of a team to aim for and a chance to play senior. And we've just mentioned there, like Clonakilty are at intermediate level, you've Rosscarbery, Bantry Blues, they are obviously there as well. But even going down, Donnies are up Junior A, Castlehaven and Dunross are in the same group in Junior B. You can see over the last couple of years, Martina, the standard is really rising, and the West Cork teams are really making moves as well.
Yeah, it has. Like, I suppose to even 5 years ago, you probably look back and Bantry and ourselves and Beara probably, and you put Ross in that, would probably have been the most dominant teams in West Cork, but like we wouldn't have been competing at a really high level. Whereas you look at all those teams now, and they're you know, like you wouldn't want to be meeting any of them, not in the intermediate grade. And like you look at Donnies there, they've been knocking the door of Junior A for so many years, and they're probably only going to get better because of their success. And the same with the likes of Skib, like they have huge underage numbers, and like success breeds success, I suppose. And in West Cork, you're seeing an awful lot with clubs kind of following on year, winning the grades and moving up, which is like, it's only positive, obviously, for West Cork, but definitely for the West Cork team. I think that has, again, raised the profile of ladies football in West Cork. And I suppose it's helping in like inspiring younger girls maybe to stick with football and look, geez, that's a grade I might be able to play. I really enjoy playing football. I'll stick at it. And they play with their clubs, and it's something to aim for. But I think in the last couple of years, like ladies football has really taken on. And you can see that actually with girls playing county football as well. There's a lot more girls at underage, like 16s and minor and 14s even. Like there's a load of girls from Clonakilty even. I see myself, there'd be 4, 5, 6 girls every year maybe at each grade. And that's only positive going forward for the club itself. So yeah, it's made strides, I think, and I suppose there's a lot of work gone into it from the West Cork board as well. You know, they do an awful lot for running competitions, West Cork competitions, and they're just promoting it really, really well. Even you see on social media, they're fairly active, and they try to get results of games, and they're just promoting it all the time, which is really good, because that just means it's out there. People are seeing it. There's more interest in, and maybe parents are seeing these and going, do you know, my daughter might want to play ladies football. Let's take her to the club, and that's how you get interest, and then it just builds from there.
And if you weren't busy enough with your football commitments, you've camogie too with the Ballinascarthy junior camogie team. Talk to me first the last couple of years. You've had great success.
Yeah, we have now, to be fair. I suppose in the last 10 years, we were gone from junior C to junior B, excuse me, to junior A. And we actually have a very good underage as well. For a small club, like, we're actually doing very well. And I think we're probably at a grade now where, we can really compete. Now, not that we were too good for junior B or anything, but we were really pushing for a couple of years to kind of get up a grade, and it took us a while, all right. But we've had a good success. Actually, I've two junior county medals with Bala, and there's not a lot of people can say that with their club, that they'll have county medals, and they're really medals that I cherish and are actually really proud of, because I started out playing GAA with them, with playing with Bal GAA and playing with Ballinascarthy Camogie. So it's really, I suppose, a team that I'll always go back to. Like, it's always the first thing that I'd love to play. When, if I have no commitments with Cork or with club, I thoroughly enjoy playing camogie. Like, it's great, and the club are so supportive. And you know what? We have a lot of girls who are coming on in grades as well with Cork. So, like, our club is actually doing very well for a small little village. We're producing some really fine camogie players, and something to, I suppose, build on for the future. Again, we'd be looking, like, we're obviously aiming to get to intermediate now. It'll take another couple of years probably, with girls coming up and younger players just kind of maybe getting a bit of experience. But no, we'll definitely be thereabouts anyway. And to date, the commitment has been better than we've seen it in years. Like, we've had 16 plus girls at training, which we haven't seen in a while. So look, it's great. And I think the whole COVID situation has probably brought girls back and kind of said, like, yeah, geez, I really miss actually playing camogie and, just being out and meeting people. And I think it has done us done us well, really, because we've got girls back who might not have played this year.
I suppose you've obviously made your name as a football goalkeeper, but your passion and love for camogie is coming through there. Is it always nice for you to get that, I suppose, get away from football for a small bit and just enjoy camogie? Yeah,
and I would always have said, like, I probably would have enjoyed playing camogie over football when I was growing up. Now, I better not say that now, because obviously football is what I play most of. But I really enjoy. I think it's the skill in camogie, because, like, with football, like, obviously there's massive skill in it as well. Like, you have to, but like, if you're fit and you have some skill, you'll be quite good. Whereas with camogie or with hurling, like, if you don't work on your skill, you'll be shown up fairly lively. But I find it's a great thing to go back to, because there's never any pressure on me to go back to play camogie, really, because you're kind of like, they're like, yeah, she hasn't played for a while, she'll be grand, and they'll shove me in anywhere. So there's never any pressure going back to your club that way. Whereas in football, you probably do find that little bit of pressure where you have to perform, and you're playing at a higher grade, so they're like, oh, well, she should be, good all the time. But with camogie, you go back and you get the chance, I suppose, to express yourself a bit more, make a few mistakes, and no one's ever going to kind of say, well, she doesn't play camogie at a higher level, so she's grand. But no, I thoroughly enjoy going back playing camogie, and I don't make enough camogie trainings from year to year, but and that's probably due to my football commitments. But when I am there, I really enjoy it, and I try to every year, like, get more in, but it just gets harder and harder, I suppose, to make the commitment to it. But, like, in fairness, again, my club are amazing. Like, I might not make a couple of trainings in a week, like, for consecutive weeks, and they'll always be like, that's no problem, just come when you can, and I'll always get games, so they are really good like that. And all the girls are really supportive, and they know, like, I'm doing other stuff, so well fit enough, so they'd be happy like that.
You're going to go then from a very busy kind of club season into the inter-county campaign, and the LGAFA had the draws for the kind of the revised All-Ireland last week, and Cork are in with Kerry and Cavan. What's your reaction to the draw? And even the format itself is obviously not different this year.
Yeah, it is. I suppose, like, we were going to have a different format anyway. Excuse me. Like, it was going to be a group kind of format, and there was going to be no quarterfinals. Now I know it's kind of changed, and I suppose we have to change with it, which is fine. You know, like, it's a format that is workable for a season. And we kind of had similar format last year. In regards, we had the group game where we played Armagh and Cavan, I think, last year. So we'd be kind of familiar with it. But I suppose the draw, like, a tough draw. I mean, I think Kerry are real dark horses. They were going so well in Division 2 this year. Like, I'd say they'll be fairly disappointed now they couldn't finish out the Division 2, because they would have been a big aim to get back up to Division 1, because they are, to be fair, they're a Division 1 team, and I suppose they just lost their way in the last couple of years. But I think they'll be a big threat to the Championship this year, and we won't be taking Cavan lightly either, because last year I know the end result, we probably had beaten them maybe by a good couple of points in the end, but like they banged 3 goals past us, like, and it was a really tough game, and they're actually making good strides in senior as well, and they always compete in Ulster. So I think we got probably one of the toughest draws that were there, and by no means will we be seeing ourselves as coming out top easily. Do you know what I mean? But look, I think this year is going to be, you're going to see surprises, and it's going to happen in the group stages. You know, you're not going to see the top 4 coming out easily into semi-finals like last year, I suppose.
Because the way it is now, there's 4 groups of 3 teams, and only the top team of each group advances straight to the semi-final. So kind of every team has to hit the ground running. You have to find your form early and try and build momentum.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the nature of Championship too, you know, and it kind of brings a bit of an exciting element to it there, where you can't rest on your laurels. You can't be like, oh, look, should we have another game to kind of maybe get ourselves together? You have to, it's all or nothing, I suppose, in your first game, because then you're relying on results for the next game, or hoping for the best, really, which you can't. So yeah, I think it brings, look, it's a good way maybe to run it off this year. I don't think there can be any complaints, really. It's the only way that you can go, and it gives a couple of games as well to teams. It's not just complete knockout either. But I suppose in the sense is, if you lose your first game, you probably are out. But look, it'll focus your mind. I think it really will have us focused. Get a good first game, and look, you can always reevaluate after that. Then if you've won that, look, you can maybe rest up a little, but it doesn't give you any chance to do that, really. I think you have 3 to 4 games maybe to get to an All-Ireland final, and you have to be good in all those. You have to perform. But look, that's something that the lads have like kind of really been nailing down this year, is that you can't rest on your, like, saying, oh, look, we have another game. They want us to perform every game, and they've been kind of just getting that into our heads, like there's no kind of take it easy. Like, we're all fighting for places on the team, and they really have brought that competitiveness to the panel, I suppose. So we understand that like there's it's all about, you know, bringing it on the day.
Do you think, like you kind of mentioned there, Martina, that there's the potential for shocks in the group stages? Do you feel too it's going to level the playing field? Obviously, Dublin have been the top team in the last couple of years, but we're heading into this championship now with no form to gauge teams off, no prior. Obviously, the league games are back in February, March, so we don't know how teams are going until we actually hit the championship. So do you feel every team is kind of almost even kind of starting off?
I think so. I think, like, there will be shocks. Like we saw, was it last year, Mayo beating Donegal, and like that would have been a shock in itself. But I think any team is there for the taking. Ourselves, Dublin, Galway, that say like the 3 top teams for the last couple of years. Like, on any given day, you can probably play poor, and then another team can play exceptional. But I think what this time off has given everybody is time maybe to work on weaknesses or fitness issues or whatever it has been. Like, we don't know until we go back, I suppose, even how we're going to fare skill wise. And now I know girls are like, everyone's kind of keeping themselves fit and doing as much as they can themselves. But you just don't know until you get together how we're going to fare ourselves. But I do think teams are there for the taking. And if at any time, it's now that you're going to beat the top teams. And I think like teams like Kerry now and the likes of Armagh, you know, teams that have been kind of surprising over the years, that will really see an opportunity to kind of probably get the top teams and cause a shock. And I think it probably will happen. But look, you do see the likes of Dublin; they're going to be super prepared. They always have been. And in fairness, like ourselves, the preparation is always really good. So you'd hope it won't happen in our case, but you'd like to see a shock with other teams, obviously.
Before I let you go, Martina, you kind of mentioned there about kind of obviously the time off over the last couple of months. How did you find that, kind of being away from that inter-county bubble, and I suppose for a couple of months? Was it nice to get a bit of time to yourself to kind of step back a small bit and relax, or did you really miss the kind of week-to-week intensity of training and matches?
I suppose both ways there, to be honest. Like when I suppose the whole shutdown happened, it was the unknown. You're kind of going, oh, like your routine has just changed totally. And for the first couple of weeks, because you were like, oh geez, like we'd be doing this now this week, and we'd probably be training really hard this week, or we'd be playing a match, or like even when the league final kind of passed along, we were like, we could have been in that, and those things go through. But I suppose I adapted in to kind of going, geez, this is nice to have time off, and you're not traveling to training, or you're not thinking about, oh, I have to look after myself because we've a match or whatever. But it was a bit of both, to be honest. But I did realize then when we were looking to get back, that it's going to be really nice to actually go back, meet everyone, have the laugh. Because like, again, it's not until this happened how I realized how much I miss playing, and the social aspect more than anything. Like if you're playing in the county, it's all about the competition and competitiveness and pushing yourself. But what the most thing was that the social interaction with girls and with management and just with everybody. And you'd miss how they would boost your mood over week on week when you're meeting these people, and the stories that people have, and how it can change your day from being a bad day to a good day. Now in fairness, we did keep in contact over whatever, like we have WhatsApp groups and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like we weren't, having a laugh there, but it's different. That social interaction, I think, is the big thing. And it's something I can't wait to get back to, really, like, because that's the big thing that you miss. It's not maybe the competitiveness and the games and stuff. It's really the people. It's the people that make it.
That's a great way to finish off. Like you said, it's great to have the GAA back. So best of luck in the next couple of weeks and months. You have a busy schedule, Martina. Yeah,
look, I don't think I'd want it any other way at this stage. If it was nothing, I'd be complaining as well. So we won't complain with the amount of matches we're going to get.
Brilliant. Best of luck.
Thanks a million, Kieran.
Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast. And before we wrap up today's show, we're just going to take a quick look at what to expect in this week's Southern Star Sports section. Kieran, I'm expecting big things with the return to play imminent.
And you won't be disappointed, Jack. It's another action-packed sports section winging its way to all of West Cork and beyond this Thursday. Number of standouts for me in this week's sports section. I'm going to go first to a 2-page interview with Jennifer O'Leary. She's obviously, we've talked about Jennifer so much over the last couple of weeks with the Best in the West competition. But I caught up for a proper in-depth chat with Jennifer. She's living in Armagh now since 2013. And she's back this season playing with Middletown Camogie team. Jennifer and her husband Paul Curry had their first child, Lauren, last December. So Jennifer loves a challenge. I just say that out there. She's really motivated, and her challenge is to see, can she come back after having her first child. And whoever knows her knows that she will come back. And not only will she come back, that she'll probably be better than ever before. She's 36 now. She's going on 37. But even from chatting to her for this interview, she's so driven and determined to fire Middletown to their first senior camogie title ever. They've been close over the last couple of years. So it's a really, really good interview, Jack. What we get into too is Jennifer's competitiveness, because she's probably the most competitive person I've ever spoken to. Kind of even turning 37 in October, to hear the bite in her voice and how determined she is, and the training she's done on her own for the last couple of months to prepare her for her first club training session last week. It'd actually make you feel guilty for not doing as much as she is. So for the Jennifer O'Leary feature alone, I think this week's Southern Star is a must buy. Also, with the West Cork Group of 8 in the County Football Championship coming up. We're obviously going to promote that over the next couple of weeks. And what I did was I looked at the club championship career of John Hayes. He's the Carbery Rangers go-to man for almost 2 decades now. So I've broken it down into just club championship games alone, how much he has scored for Carbery Rangers since he made his debut back in 2002 in a Carbery Junior A football game against Gabriel Rangers. So from that game in 2002 up to 2019, I've worked out how much exactly John Hayes has scored in club championship games, and it's phenomenal. And a couple of startling stats came out, Jack, when I was going through all the different match reports and putting all the figures together. So it's well worth checking out the Star for that as well this Thursday. And I'm also just going to mention as well, I've spoken to St. James's GAA Club Chairman Niall O'Sullivan for a piece for this week's Southern Star, just about the club's financial difficulties. St. James's went public last week when they launched the GoFundMe page because they put their hands up and admitted that they'd only 1 month's fund left in their bank account. Like things are that tough for the club off the back of the COVID-19 pandemic. Their main fundraisers have had to be cancelled. They're still paying the same bills. They have a bank loan to pay back. They have electricity, ESB, pitch maintenance, and so on. And the club is struggling for money. And they're not the only club, to be honest, Jack. There's definitely other clubs out there who are also probably in financial difficulties because they haven't had the money coming in after club lottos and so on. So I think it's a really important piece and a really important interview with St. James's Club Chairman Niall O'Sullivan, because they've had the balls to actually come out and say, look, lads, we're struggling a small bit here. And they've launched a GoFundMe page to kind of raise, the hope is to raise €10,000 to see the club through to the end of the year. So again, check out this week's Southern Star for that. So there's some really important stories in this week's Southern Star, as well as all the fixture details about the Carbery Championships coming up and the County Championships and so on. So lots of reading in there for West Cork sport fans. And also, Sebastian Loeb makes an appearance in this week's sports section in the motorsport column, so worth checking out that as well.
Yeah, and that will be available in shops across West Cork and beyond from Thursday morning. And if you can't make it to the shops, you can always purchase a digital subscription. Just go to www.thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper and you can read the Southern Star on your computer, tablet or smartphone for less than €2 per week. Now that is value. Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast. We'll be back at the same time next week. So if you enjoy these shows, please make sure to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Acast, Stitcher, the COVID-19 tracking app. I think we might be available on there too, or wherever else you listen to the show.